Thinking back on things, we all sort of just took it upon ourselves to believe what we saw in the Sonic Rangers leaks, even if just a bit of it. The part that the game will be open world is a similar vein as Breath of the Wild. That's the biggest thing, we kind of believed. And while I already made a video in this series on how to make a perfect open world Sonic game, which you should check out from the card up top, I started wondering, what if it wasn't an open world game? What exactly could we expect? So at the very beginning, I'm gonna get this straight. I know Sonic Rangers won't be an RPG. At the most, it'll have elements of the genre like other open world games do, but it won't be the kind I'm referring to in this video. I know this because Izuka already mentioned previously that Sonic 2022, this being Rangers, is basically setting up how Sonic will go for the next decade. And while Sonic is known for switching stuff up in its mainline games, they've always been platformers at the end of the day. So suspend your disbelief for a bit while I show you how I'd make a perfect Sonic RPG. This is what if Sonic Rangers was an RPG. So the funny thing about RPGs is that there's so many different kinds of them that just saying you want a Sonic RPG could mean a ton of different things and prompt tons of different reactions. Some may immediately gravitate towards a turn-based Sonic adventure like many Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games. Some might think along the lines of tactical or even strategy games like Project Triangle Strategy or Fire Emblem. However, as awesome as those ideas sound, I feel that when keeping in mind what kind of character Sonic is, I feel there's another type of RPG which would showcase who Sonic is and what he can do the best. And that's an action RPG, which, to no surprise, is one of the most popular playstyles in this genre. Purely because when someone envisions an epic battle or participates in one, your enemies aren't gonna wait around for you to move, and you likely wouldn't do that either. So while I personally gravitate more towards turn-based games, action-styled RPGs are probably a bit better suited for Sonic, and I'm going to use this video to kind of go into why that is. Let's start from the top. When designing a video game, the most important aspect in my eyes is designing a character and what they can do. What they're all about. And for Sonic, that's undeniably his speed. This is something that's vital when creating a Sonic game regardless of the kind of game it's going for, because that's what makes him special. If you take away his speed, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a good video game, but it won't feel like Sonic anymore, and no amount of writing, graphics, and music can save that in my opinion. And when constructing an action RPG around Sonic, things likely should be as follows. His speed needs to be the prime factor in combat, so while taking up a sword is an awesome idea, which he's done before, I feel that it may be better to make Sonic fighting barehanded using his speed. After all, if you're fast enough to break the sound barrier, I think the speed in which you can punch is just as fast. So I can envision here that while exploring the open and explorative overworld, there are seamless transitions into battle, much in the same vein as how Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy XV handles their battles. As Sonic gets within range of an enemy, the music fades to the battle theme and the characters take their fighting stances, whether that's taking out their swords, hammers, axes, or putting up their fists ready for a battle. Sonic will get into a fighting stance and the player has options on how to approach the battle. Sonic can immediately spin dash towards the enemy. After that, the player has the option to transition into a jump, proceed into a 3-hit combo, and downward kick the enemy onto the ground beneath him. Once you are both now on the ground, Sonic can also run towards the opponent and use a hammer spin dash, burying the foe. But once you've done that, you can attempt to use a rising spin dash to uproot the enemy, allowing you to string into a ground combo, a mixture of high-speed punches weaving into a circle spin dash to end up behind the enemy, attacking them from their backside. Sonic will have a wide variety of moves that he can perform on his targets, and when considering all of the different kinds of moves he's used in the games, the TV shows, the comics, I think including a skill tree of sorts is for the best. It adds a natural sense of progression for Sonic. As he continues fighting the enemies throughout the overworld, exploring the map and discovering new locations can also give you points towards unlocking new abilities as well. And to re-emphasize, for RPGs, one of the most important aspects is the world itself, so giving players unique ways to explore it is vital. So I think some of the moves Sonic learns should allow him to explore otherwise inaccessible areas of the map. I think by default, running on the ground and being able to transition from ground to walls is essential. That way, running up large structures and say a mountain for example, would be something players have access to from the very beginning. Also, at least in my opinion, the worlds are always more fun to explore while having friends by your side. Maybe it's the Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest fanboy in me, but I'd love to have Sonic friends tied not only to the plot, but in gameplay as well, with their own corresponding skill trees. Knuckles can use his abilities to allow the party to glide off large structures easily. He can dig routes underground and explore areas down there that would normally go completely unnoticed to less creative players. At the end of each battle, collecting parts from the badniks is something that happens automatically. However, thanks to Tails, you can use those parts to construct new gadgets that have a variety of different benefits. For example, Tails can craft a radar that detects enemies within a certain radius of the map, whether that's within a dark cave or out on the open plains, underground, or cities in the sky. He'd also be able to augment the equipment of the party, like applying sharp metal edges to Sonic's shoes to allow his strength stat to increase alongside a higher chance for critical hits. Or maybe he can even add elemental tech to Amy's hammer. Doing this wouldn't necessarily change her strength stat, but would add her ability to target weaknesses to certain types of enemies or use them in unique situations. For example, while exploring the overworld, it begins to rain, but while it's raining, you get into an enemy encounter. Once the encounter begins, if you switch the control over to Amy, she can switch to thunder mode on her hammer and cause electric damage to enemies, and it's amplified even further thanks to the rain. These are just a few ideas I had about world design and character usage. I think adding in the Chaos Emeralds would be really neat too. Maybe each Chaos Emerald you get, you can use it to get a new Chaos power. They could tie that into story too, and I think that'd make an interesting story. I know I only touched on it for a second, but having an origin story for the Chaos Emeralds being the plot would be really cool to me. I know I've said this in another video, but I still think it's one of the coolest routes they can go within the current continuity of Sonic games. Not fully sure how they'll do it, but there's a million and one ways it can happen. But hey, this is kind of how I'd like a Sonic RPG to end up like. Obviously I didn't plan out every single move or ability, but I think I'd include enough to where it's enough to grasp the combat potential, the speed of the gameplay, the potential of the story, the abilities that are not only making combat more fun, but exploring the world too, making each character unique and totally viable to switch between. But does this seem like a game you'd enjoy? Let me know in the comments below. I really enjoy these Sonic concepts, so leaving a like and subscribing will let me know you want to see more. Thank you all for watching. My name is KingdomAce, and remember everyone to play some games, have some fun, and enjoy your day today.